Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Friday, November 17th, 2023, and lots of interesting headlines. Going to buzz through several of them. Today, the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, remember Mike Johnson in Gematria equals 56, like Washington, D.C., like the 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. He's the 56th Speaker of House. But today, they're going to release 44,000 hours of January 6th footage. Today leaves 44 days left in the year. A few years ago on this day, we were talking about Obama, number 44, releasing his book, A Promised Land, on the day leaving 44 days left in the year. In tribute to Abraham, a name that equals 44 in Gematria, matching his presidency number. Again, he was number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. But the 44,000 hours released today, we'll talk more about that. Rosalynn Carter, the wife of Jimmy Carter, the couple from Georgia. We call it the 44 state Georgia, like Hank Aaron, number 44. He died right before the Braves won their most recent World Series. And anyhow, today she goes into hospice care. And again, lots of 44 things in Georgia. If you measure from her birthday, August 18th, to Jimmy Carter's birthday, October 1st, it's 44 days later. And anyhow, she's going into hospice care today in the headlines. Jimmy Carter's already there. We'll talk more about that. In light of recently playing the Scarface song, the Houston rapper, a lot of people liked when I played that song. A song called He's Never Seen a Man Cry Until He's Seen a Man Die. We played it for the death of the Houston football star over the weekend, which we talked about, DJ Hayden. But yeah, I went back and looked at the album he put out right about the same time Tupac died, because he had the song with Tupac, Smile, and Tupac's On the Cross Like Jesus, just like Tupac is on the Machiavelli album released right after his death, just like this album. And yeah, there's some really interesting things here. Scarface released this album with the big song with Tupac, Smile, on the 1-year anniversary of Tupac's last album that was released while he was alive, All Eyes on Me, on February 13th, the 44th day of the year. So, that Masonic checkerboard floor, we'll talk about where Masons, where it fits in with the title, The Untouchable. And we'll also go back and look at when Scarface was one of the first celebrities that had COVID-19 when the whole pandemic was getting underway. You might recall we covered that. Also, I know something really interesting about the film Star Wars in light of today's breaking news in Israel. They said Israel's military made history with the use of space defense systems to destroy a missile. It's never been done before reportedly today. And again, today leaves 44 days left in the year. If you're new here, Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. Space equals 44. So does military. So does Israel. So does Zion. So does Netanyahu. Again, big pattern with that nation. But how fitting for this military history on this day. Don't forget the word cancer equals 44, like space, or Armstrong also equals 44. Neil Armstrong in the time of cancer, with the moon landing, when the moon is ruled by Cancer in astrology. But yeah, space, Star Wars. And then with regards to Star Wars, it's funny that George Lucas was born in 44, and he was born on May 14th. He was born 4 years before Israel. Israel was established May 14th, 48. Mark Zuckerberg, who used to go with the Facebook hoodie with the design on the inside because it was a secret, like he said at the conference in Germany, and the inside of the Facebook logo had the Star of David. Mark Zuckerberg's birthday is May 14th, 84. Israel's is May 14th, 48. Again, if you've never seen that clip where Mark Zuckerberg's sweating and they look at the inside of the Facebook hoodie and it's got the Star of David logo, and it says something like keeping the world open and connected with like 13. I got to go back and look at the full symbol, but the Star of David, definitely a component of that Mark Zuckerberg hoodie. If you've never seen that clip, you got to look that stuff up. It's from like 2010. It's a long time ago. But it was obviously, it was really uncomfortable revealing that in front of the cameras. Okay, so again, we're just talking about the day leaving 44 days left in the year. 9/11 happened when Osama bin Laden was in his 44th year of life. The whole attack is synced with his 44th birthday. And that's really buzzing today, but it's been buzzing since at least yesterday. I caught wind of this yesterday, and then it seems like today it's getting even more attention. I was watching, I saw several segments, and everyone's essentially communicating the same thoughts and ideas, but the most interesting phrasing I heard, understand what I do each day. I'm breaking down news, decoding sports, trying to follow, listen to what the media's putting out. But just listening to different talking heads on different networks talk about this Osama bin Laden is trending and people are sympathizing with him on TikTok. A lot of different talking points, whether you're watching CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, but they all kind of channel the idea that, well, remember, TikTok's Chinese and they could be more tolerant of propaganda that undermines America because it helps their interests. And this is why maybe we should only have American big tech companies. And it's like, well, these same thoughts and ideas are on YouTube and Instagram and every social media until they get censored and deleted, which they do. But at the same time, it's just crazy how the media is pushing this this narrative of it's like super American to not allow this kind of speech. And it's like, that's not what super American is. Super American is free speech. And where people are sympathizing with Osama bin Laden and now seeing the parallels with what's going on in Gaza and understanding more where he was coming from, again, which is the thing that's taking place at this moment in history, all the cable media is making it seem like the American thing to do is shut this stuff up, shut it down, get it out of here, end it, take down TikTok if we need to. And I mean, it's really the most anti-American thing there is. Freedom of speech is the number one thing in America. All negative or wrong speech, however you want to classify it, should be debated and defeated through debate, not through censorship. False ideas can be debated and defeated. And anyway, with regards to this ritual, I first caught wind of this story. Let's see. Let me remind you of these things with Osama. Osama bin Laden supposedly died at age 54 on his 54th day of his age. His birthday is March 10th. And March 10th is written 10/3 in the majority of the world, like 103. The big story in people's minds from the media of Islamic terrorism in planes was Pan Am 103 before 9/11 happened. His birthday is 10/3, like 103. But there's a million interesting things when you know Gematria about Osama bin Laden and 9/11 and the death of his father in a plane crash on the day leaving 119 days left in the year, which was on September 3rd, 9/3, like the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Again, there's a reason for all these things, but anyhow, Osama bin Laden reportedly died at age 54 on his 54th day of his age. And again, in Gematria, terrorism equals 54, like censorship. And isn't it funny, like, looking at how this is now being done? These huge blanket calls for censorship and the tearing down of entire platforms, where think about what these people are asking for. There's millions of voices on a platform like TikTok, and I'm sure the vast majority of the people who do content probably aren't talking about things like this. But these people are calling for just like the censorship of everyone because reportedly, and they're if you guys watch the news and turn on the news, you'll see them playing the clips of the TikTokers who are sympathetic of Osama bin Laden. And it's so rated PG. It's like even just, they're like, wow, this is what they're so outraged about. These like really PG comments and thoughts that really aren't, I mean, just, if they're so wrong, then explain why they're wrong. Don't just say they're ludicrous and censor them all now. But anyway, we've always talked about this with Osama and terrorism. And if you're new here, I want you to see what's interesting about him dying on the day he did, May 2nd. Here, let me put this up here. Let's get up the Osama bin Laden wiki so everyone can see. Again, wiki's not always right with dates, but they're right about these dates. You can verify them in other places. Osama's birthday is March 10th. His birthday is May 2nd. So, from his birthday to his death, again, his 54th day of his life, we just talked about where terrorism has the gematria of 54. Again, the cipher we're looking at is the one where we've done the majority of the work over the years. And again, terrorism is 54. In that same cipher, if you just change the word to terrorist, it's 52. So think about it. the man wanted for this act of terrorism, 9/11 and the bombing of the ship and other things he's on the FBI's list for. Terrorism 54, but also referred to as a terrorist. Terrorist is 52. So dead at age 54 on the 54th day of his age on 5/2. And remember, Osama bin Laden was used by the CIA. He was financed to interfere with the Soviets, them being in Afghanistan. And again, there's so much more to it, but the point is you learn this little number code, and again, you just see through how this works. And then it's like it becomes sick how this story, people sympathizing with the terrorist Osama bin Laden, it's the reason to censor speech. And it's not. If the comments that they're playing on the news are so bad, the news pundit should be like pausing after each little video they show and responding why what they said is false or illegitimate or an unreasonable thought. You don't see the news media ever do that, though. They come with all this emotion and anger and disgust and ways of putting things to, demean the thought of. And it's crazy that people just fall for it. It's just like, when are these talking heads ever right about anything? Who are these sellouts on TV acting like it's so American to censor speech? So here's the other thing that's a trip. Again, I didn't see anyone covering this until yesterday, November 16th. Look at from Osama's birthday, March 10th, his birthday anniversary, to the story coming was 251 days later, the 54th prime number. You know what I mean? Sympathizing with the 9/11 mastermind, thus we really need to shut down these forms of communication. And, as an American, the big tech platforms that exist in this country do not respect free speech. So it's almost sad to make the argument from a free speech standpoint that China, a communist nation, as we've always learned about, China, this communist nation that's abusive to its people, that's super polluted, somehow, some way, they have more freedom of speech than we do. But then they'd argue, no, they're only allowing that freedom of speech on this platform in America to undermine America. It's like, you should be able to undermine America with free speech. Shouldn't work here in a nation that's had it for so long, at least so we've been told. But anyway, Dex Carvey, the son of Dana Carvey, Saturday Night Live, Wayne's World, many other things, dead from an overdose. The news broke on a 35 Thursday. Of course, OD has that 35 gematria. We've seen the pattern before. And again, just the world of celebrity. Another father losing the son. And yeah, we'll look more at that. But Dana Carvey, I saw his first acting credit is 1980. So that means at some point in 2024, he's going to celebrate the 44th anniversary, which means right now it's 43 years and change from whenever that movie was in 1980. That means he's in his 44th year right now of being a paid actor with IMDb movie credits. And if you're new here, 44, just this very fateful number throughout history. MLK killed on 4/4. Malcolm X killed on 44. Date numerology. The first U.S. president to die in office died on April 4th. The World Trade Centers, which had the tragic ending, opened on April 4th. And many other things. Antonin Scalia's strange death on the 44th day of the year. Many things. JFK, the 44th term president. Lincoln's dream in the history book on April 4th that he would be assassinated only to be shot 10 days later. Yeah, if you didn't know that, look that up. That's part of the U.S. official history. Lincoln's dream on April 4th of being assassinated. But 44, fateful. Dana Carvey coming up on that 44th anniversary, and his oldest son dead. His name, Dex Carvey, had gematria 46, like sacrifice, like Thursday. Funny enough, it was also Oklahoma's birthday yesterday, the 46th state. And that had a lot to do with Joe Mixon at Oklahoma scoring the big TD last night. It was his 116th day of his age, Joe Mixon, and the 116th birthday of Oklahoma. But anyway, 46 sacrifice again equals 46. Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. 46, 44. These numbers show up around suspicious deaths all the time. And notice the word execution, for example. It's 44 when you run the alphabetic order forwards with numerology. It's 46 when you run it in reverse. And just both of these numbers show up around death a lot. Wow, and I forgot to mention that Dex Carvey equals 44 and 46. Trying to keep up with everything. I forgot what I wrote down last night. And making it on Saturday Night Live. He started with Saturday Night Live in 86. He's 68 years old right now. Both numbers are fateful. 86 has to do with get rid of, and Gematria blood sacrifice and human sacrifice are 86. 68 and 86 are both kind of like how caskets go 6 feet deep and are 8 feet long. But in light of making it on SNL, the death news came 167 days after Dana Carvey's birthday, the 39th prime. Everything in New York is 39. You see how New York is 39? And if you write it like how you would on an envelope, New York, NY, it's also 39. And then the other two ciphers are the alphabetic order and alphabetic order in reverse without numerology. The abbreviation NY is 39, and NYC for New York City is also 39. And you got things like G-Min and 39, and you can look into all the New York Super Bowls won in history. They all are about 39, including the first ever one won by the Jets, which was 16-7, a bit like 167. And again, that's what we said. This was 167 days after Dana Carvey's birthday, the 39th prime number, where 39 goes back to New York. So, yeah, just so much of that in showbiz, and somehow so few people blink an eye. We covered the Puff Daddy thing yesterday, accused of rape by Cassie from 2005, 18 years ago. And yeah, if you missed that, she made the accusation that he's a rapist, and she did it on her 83rd day of her age. We've seen this pattern before with stories like this. Antonio Brown had some big rituals like this, and we talked about why it matters that Puff Daddy's 54 years old. And again, R. Kelly got sentenced to prison at age 54 for all kinds of sex-related crimes. And R. Kelly got sentenced on September 27th, which is the Jesuit order recognition date in history. And again, 54 is their big number. So again, they served the Catholic Church, the big cross, the picture they chose of Sean Combs with the cross diamond earrings. Okay, hold on. Let me close a few of these real quick. The day before the Puff Daddy news, the sexual assault or sexual abuse charges were dropped against Tiger Woods. Just for the record, his name is 54 forwards and backwards. He's known for always wearing red and black on Sundays. Those are the colors of the Jesuit order. And Jesuit order, of course, is also 54. Big number with their order. John Carroll's 54. He established the first Jesuit university, Georgetown, at age 54. The word sun is 54. They're a sun cult. It's a sun logo for the Jesuits. It's Tiger Woods, always wearing red and black on Sundays. Tiger Woods, caddy, 54 holes. This was a recent thing. Shout out to Kayla. Kayla just pointed this out to me. So this was on the day leaving 54 days left in the year, November 7th. November 7th, 54 days left in the year. Tiger Woods caddies 54 holes for son Charlie, right? It's just the ritualism. Remember the car crash thing where we never saw any real proof that he was in a car crash? It was a big 54 thing. Date of Tiger Woods car crash. February 23rd. What day is that? That's the 54th day of the year. You know what I mean? So yeah, Tiger Woods, charges dropped, and then Puff Daddy at age 54, like R. Kelly at age 54, he's got problems. And the next big hip hop star to turn 54 is next month, a month after Puff Daddy. That's Jay-Z. And a lot of people heard Jay-Z for the first time on Puff Daddy's album that came out right after Notorious B.I.G.'s death. But yeah. And here, let me show you something interesting about 45 and 54, these numbers. 45, when you spell it out, equals 54 and 45. And when you spell out 54, you see how they're the exact same in all four base ciphers, 54 and 45? The exact same in all of them. And like an example, Kobe Bean Bryant equals 54. He died the Sunday before Super Bowl 54 on January 26th, 126. John Carroll's name also has that 126-54. But the ritual of Tiger Woods, the charges getting dropped, came 45 days before his birthday, and the court filing was in Jupiter, Florida, which is also 45. Okay. And just the 45-54 thing. Paul Pelosi attacker David DePape found guilty for the hammer attack. Big story last year around Halloween. This came on the day leaving 45 days left in the year, 54 weeks and days after the attack. Paul Pelosi, 45 and 54. His attacker guilty on the day leaving 45 days left in the year, 54 weeks and days after the attack. I mean, you know, it's just day after day, news by the numbers. The day before that was the day leaving 46 days left in the year. San Francisco's cleaned out all the homeless for the Chinese president, Xi, who's meeting with Biden on the day leaving 46 days left in the year. You know. Also, something interesting going on right now. I know I touched on this yesterday, but again, think of the odds of this. The Federal Reserve banking system was rushed into motion because of the World War that was underway, that the U.S. soon became involved in. And since the Federal Reserve's roots have to do with World War history, it's interesting that just yesterday, November 16th, was the 109th anniversary of the Federal Reserve Banks opening up. Again, the Federal Reserve Act was passed December 23rd, 1913, and that was just before World War I broke out. And then the banks were established less than a year later as the war just got underway, beginning July of that year, 1914. And now here we are with rumors of world war. And again, Netanyahu coming back on Albert Pike's birthday. And Albert Pike wrote the letter about 3 world wars. And the third one's supposed to involve political Zionism, which is where we are with Israel. But it's the 109th anniversary, and the word military is 109. The Revolutionary War, for example, began on April 19th in history, the 109th day of the year. It's also the day in history that Ignatius of Loyola became the first military leader of the Jesuits, who are the military order of the Catholic Church and the Pope. So, 109th anniversary military number. And they did do that on the day leaving 45 days left in the year. Open those banks. And then by the end of World War II, there was a whole new global banking system in place. The war ended in 45. Again, the bank was established on the day leaving 45 days left in the year as World War I got underway. But then you have 31 years later until 1945, which is the 11th prime number. Remember, 11's the master number, the master plan. But in 1945, the world wars are over, and then the U.S., their currency, pegged as the world currency, making the U.S. the powerhouse that it's been ever since the end of the world wars. You know, the global leader, if you will. But yeah, you start to realize all these secret societies operating this way and working patiently and having everything planned out by a code. And again, this very well-known Freemason Albert Pike knowing about these 3 world wars to come. I mean, it'd be nice to know all the secrets and see just how laid out it was. Who laid it out? Who had the perfect plan for it would happen over X amount of years? You know. But somebody did, or some group of people did. And we know who this group of people is. Again, it's right in front of our face. Washington, D.C., the Masonic Jesuit city. Okay, also, you might have saw this yesterday. Supreme Court says Florida can't enforce anti-drug law how it was referred to. And the thing that I found interesting is I went up and looked up what the law was, because they never really give you this deep in news, so you got to look these kind of things. I found the bill. It was CSHB House Bill 1423, Protection of Children, and General Bill by State Administration and Technology Appropriations Subcommittee. And then you got the names in that group. One of the names is Roach. But anyway, it was filed, this bill, on March 3rd, 3-3, right? That very special number, DC, the Masonic City. 33, very special number to the Masons. Federal, order, secrecy, Masonry, they all equal 33. High ritual number, the word magic is 33. The battle with Disney and the LGBTQ community and the magical world of Disney, and Disney being way more than Disney, owning so many companies and cable stations. And there's a reason every quarterback says right after they get done with the scripted game that's on the Disney-owned network that they're going to Disneyland, the QB will always say. But anyway, March 3rd, 2023, this bill was filed. And from the filing date to the decision was 258 days later. And again, it's sad that I know the things I'm about to say are the types of, because I'm looking at the videos that get taken down, and a common theme in the videos that I lose is teaching about how Number of the Beast fit in and 666, and it does come up a lot in the LGBTQ thing, and it's not like I'm accusing all these people of being satanic or in the Church of Satan. I'm just saying how these rituals unfold, because again, the symbol for the Church of Satan is the Baphomet, and the Baphomet is half male, half female. But from the day the bill was filed to the day of this decision, 258 days later, again, the phrase number of the beast equals 258. And the square root of 666 is 25.8. And again, this decision came on the day leaving 45 days left in the year. Holy Bible 45, biblical narratives, Satan, the beast, being led astray. The other connection is this is a decision by a judge. Of course, judge has the gematria 47, like gavel, like obey, like authority, like government, but also like beast. 47, 258. It's kind of like the ritual with Bill Gates. His full name equals 258, and he's a junior. His father, William Henry Gates Sr., died on the 258th day of the year on the 47th parallel. 258, 47. There's a number of other examples, but I do find it interesting that this factors in with the LGBTQ thing, and there that number is yet again. And it reminds that there's a history of, federal government, people at the Pentagon, and occult societies like the Temple of Set, which isn't that far off from the Church of Satan. And again, just the agendas that really are in motion, that a lot of them have to do with population control. Something that the authorities have been having conferences about for a long time, since way longer than most of us have even been here. Kissinger had his big population control conference focused on 47 countries back in 74. So notice the bill that they said that they can't do anything about. It was added to the Commerce Committee agenda on March 22nd, 322. The first reading was on the 66th day of the year. Number of the beast does equal 258 like we just talked about, but it also equals 66. So read on the 66th day of the year for the first time, the ruling. And you see where number of the beast is 87? Isn't it interesting that the word truth is 87 and so is the word justice? What if your tenet is you don't care? It's just like, the only thing that's justice to you is you benefiting. You'll use the truth to reach your justice. It's like everything in our society's been inverted. Judges for sale. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters who's putting the money in their pocket. They'll put another man's life in jeopardy. A man in a cage, a person in a cage, destroy somebody's life because they got bribed by somebody else. Again, this is the world we've allowed to be built over us. That's why if this world ever falls apart, and hopefully it does because it is so corrupt and wrong, so that something better can come in its place, there'll never be a system like this with people wearing big black gowns with hammers and obey them or else. It's their opinion or else. They hold, the weight of somebody's possibly entire rest of their life in their hands. Some of these judges are ruling on death penalty and whatnot. They're saying, I got the right to take your life. And I guess that's what governments have always done, right? Because it's always murder if you kill somebody, unless it's self-defense or unless you join the military and they told you to go kill somebody. Then it was just doing your duty. But yeah, that's in the headlines. Martha Stewart, did you guys see this story that she's turkeyed out? It's funny, she's quitting turkey, and then the next day her number one wingman Snoop Dogg is quitting weed. We'll get to that. Cannabis equals 27 like ritual. The Snoop Dogg announcement about no more weed that he will smoke. Sounds like he'll still do edibles 27 days after his birthday. But yeah, if you read this Martha Stewart story, she said one person who was supposed to come to her dinner called out sick, which scared other guests, so 9 people canceled, which made her say just forget it and canceled the whole thing. So think about the story. One person canceled because they were sick, 9 got scared, which caused her to just throw out the whole thing. Isn't that like COVID-19 in a nutshell? Everyone was just way more scared than they needed to be, so like it ruined the whole thing. The next thing you knew, mom and dad couldn't go to work anymore because government was just riding on the fear put out by the media. Listen, the only place that's safe to shop in the time of COVID-19 is Walmart, Costco, or Target. If you got a Whole Foods, they might be open too. You can also get from Jeff Bezos' Amazon. But, yeah, it's just the mockery. It's just mockery, you guys. And I just think about, you know what really bothers me about this the most? It's just my sister again. Because I've never been able to get her to listen. And she loves Martha Stewart. And she's been so afraid in the time of COVID. And she's been getting all the shots and boosters and getting them all for her kids. And, she hasn't even been healthy. She was really sick this past summer. And it's like, since when do any of us ever get sick in the summer? It doesn't happen. And she's the only one who got the shot in our family. And, but yeah, she worships Oprah and Martha. And I wouldn't be surprised if my sister, who always does Thanksgiving, cancels it this year too. Because these celebrities, these larger-than-life people, because of all the places they are, the screens, the magazine covers, the papers, morning shows, all the stuff. It's just, like, that's what I realized about my sister. I'm like, my sister, the people who are most important to her in life are, like, people in the world of celebrity. She cares way more about these people than her mom or me. It's sad, but she's not unique. There's a lot of Americans like that. They're just so obsessed with the screens and the people on the screens. But yeah, read the story. One got sick, 9 canceled because of it, so she just canceled the whole thing. She's turkeyed out. Okay. Yeah, there's just so many stories like this right now. These stories are everywhere. Arrest made in death of Jewish protester who fell and hit his head. Elon Musk agrees with anti-Semitic ex-post that claims Jews push hatred against white people. It's just... if you guys don't know Lincoln Karam, he came out to New York with us when we were out there. He brought the great audio equipment and really helped improve our experience out there. And he has a great YouTube channel, just goes around and films and documents what's taking place in New York. His channel is like a documentation of the times we live in and how absurd they are and the observations he makes. But he's been going to the campuses in New York where in the news you're hearing about like this huge anti-Semitism scare. And he's just trying to ask students, like, is this really a thing right now? And everyone's just like, I don't really have a comment on it. It's not that big a deal. So it's like, okay, on the campus. See, that's the thing though. On the news, they go to their news anchor and they got their guest lined up, and they might say this is a student from Columbia, but are they even really a student there? You know what I mean? It's like you go to the actual students and nobody wants to talk about anything. Doesn't really seem like it's that big a deal. Just like always, they got to get to class. They're college students. Life's busy, a lot to keep up with. But yeah, just the thing is too, whenever no other group gets this kind of attention and sympathy in the media. Nobody else. Like if something bad happens to some group of people, you don't have all the networks just barking out all day, every day. And again, the thing about the world wars and what happened, if it all was exactly as it was. By the way, I heard a Fox News person say that today. She said there's two things that you should not be allowed to do in America with speech. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And she said, deny the Holocaust. And then she said, deny mass shootings. I could not believe the second one. I thought, oh my God. If you guys, from today's November 17th, that show that goes on, The Five, the woman who was wearing all red today, blonde hair, she says it. The two things you should not be able to say in America, denying the Holocaust and denying mass shootings. And again, like I point out many times, Lenny Posner and the other parents who are going after the First and Second Amendment, you know, they keep the Sabbath day holy, if you know what I mean. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but I'm just making the point. I'm making the point that it's the same group of people. So the two things, she essentially said the two things that you shouldn't be able to do are things that would really bother Jewish people. So it's like, okay, the only two things that we should censor in American speech are things that Jewish people would be most irritated by. And again, just for me making that point, this video could be taken down for hate speech. That's how dumb things are right now. But essentially, that's exactly what she said. And here, look at that. Look at the way this Elon Musk story starts. The anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that Jews want to bring undocumented minority populations into Western countries to reduce white majorities in those nations has been espoused by online hate groups and echoed by Robert Bowers, the convicted killer of 11 worshipers at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018. And remember, we got in trouble for pointing out that same synagogue had done an active shooter drill within a close period of time to the shooting. And remember when the bridge collapsed? You remember the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh the day Joe Biden was supposed to talk infrastructure? It was on January 28th, 128, and it was right by where that Tree of Life Synagogue was. I did a video showing the connection between the distance and the numbers in both rituals, and I got a strike at that time. And for hate speech. And it's like, okay, nothing I'm doing is hate speech. I'm showing how there's this real thing in the world of coding numbers into words and syncing up with dates. And I'm showing that. And you're taking me down for hate speech. And it makes me get that's what they're really trying to do with all this, is like brew hatred. I mean, this is where hatred comes from. Hatred comes from anger. It's infuriating to be censored and then slandered with these labels. When somebody clicks on your video, it says this video was taken down for hate speech. It's like, and you didn't do any hate speech. Makes you look bad. And anyway. But yeah, they even got to bring a mass shooting into the first paragraph. So yeah, Snoop Dogg saying he's given up smoke. And the word smoke actually has gematria 27. So does cannabis. So does ritual. 27 days after his birthday. And maybe there'll be more to the story. Maybe he'll say he's fighting a cancer battle in his lungs. But smoke 27. Ritual 27. And he did do that on the day, leaving 45 days left in the year, no less. And, cannabis. Is that the word I forgot to write out? Cannabis 27. Cannabis 27, ritual 27, smoke 27. Okay. but yeah, him and Martha, they keep pairing those two apart. She makes a big announcement. She's like essentially quitting Thanksgiving cooking. I mean, that's pretty huge. Martha's not cooking. I mean, that's what Martha does. Martha's just to hell with Thanksgiving. Even Martha's thrown in the towel. But then the next day, our wingman Snoop, he's giving up weed. I mean, that's what these people are known for. So that's probably not an accident either. Um, CNN today again, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. Israel 44, Zion 44, Netanyahu 44. Big number there in Israel. Theodore Herzl, the father of Zionism, dead at age 44 in 1904, 44 years before the establishment of Israel. And it was a decade after his death that World War I began and the Federal Reserve came. And okay, but yeah, just uh, for a CNN article, this is about as fair as it'll ever get because they actually just present quotes from both sides. But here, let's just read. For example, they quote two women who are there to support Gaza, and they found both women named Elizabeth, which is interesting. One's 42, the other's age 70. But the younger one said she joined the demonstrations after seeing images of children suffering in Gaza. So she joined the pro-Gaza marches, and then her quote is, "It's because I have a daughter and I see all those children in Gaza," she said, gently pushing her 2-year-old daughter's stroller. We just don't want to support people being bombed." And again, I mean, you look at Gaza, a lot of their buildings have been bombed over several decades, and that's why they're crumbled structures. And again, the nation, there's so many things that are terrible about Gaza because of the ongoing conflict with Israel. And I mean, Israel was taken by the UK in an occupation and then given to the Jews at the end of World War II. Here, one second. I'll be right back. Hold on, you guys. All right, sorry about that interruption. Yeah, anyway, just so much focus on this and just trying to get people to take sides, and it's just they get people to take sides in crazy things that you don't need to be taking sides in. Nobody should be supporting the dropping of bombs on anyone's head. I mean, it's just like it's psychotic. They want you to take it's just yeah, and it's gross watching the news right now. It's just like after 9/11. After 9/11, if you weren't like cheering at the top of your lungs for the murder of brown people in the Middle East in the name of 9/11, then you were a bad American. Put a yellow ribbon on your car and march along. And it's like the same thing right now. And it's just gross. It's just so obvious how this works and how ritualistic it is too. It's just that's the sickest part. Yeah, and real quick, dude, did you guys see this headline the other day about 19 volcanoes erupting at the same time, published by Newsweek first? I was reading some people's follow-ups to this article, and people said that's actually not that amazing. There's a lot of volcanoes, active volcanoes in the world that are constantly erupting. It's how magnificent the eruption is. But I thought, okay, well, there's not normally like some big viral circulating headline about how many volcanoes are going off at once. So what stood out to me is the number 19 in light of, you might not be aware of this, but in the United States of America, there's only one city that equals 19, and it's actually ranked as one of the 30 most dangerous places to live in the entire world because of the active volcano nearby that the city, it's built on top of the mud flows of the last time it erupted. And that city is Seattle, where Mount Rainier, this huge, monstrous mountain, is just outside the city. And if it did erupt, what would get the worst of it is the areas south of Seattle. The south end of Seattle's the poor end. It would get it. Seattle's a long, sprawling city south to north. But all the communities south of Seattle, too, going down to Tacoma. But look at this. Look at how much more interesting this becomes. I learned a few things just looking into this more. So, and keep in mind, this article was published the day after the city of Seattle's establishment anniversary. So that's the other thing that jumps out. The state of Washington, where Seattle is, its birthday is November 11th, and then Seattle's birthday is November 13th, at least by its original name, Alki. Seattle's name was changed to Seattle in history on May 23rd, but the original establishment of the city goes back to November 13th. And check this out. Vulcan is the god of volcanoes, and Vulcan in Gematria equals 19, like Seattle. And Paul Allen, who owned the Seahawks and the Portland Trail Blazers until his death, now his sister owns the teams, but him and his sister founded this company, Vulcan, in Seattle in 1986. And it says that it's about solving climate problems. And again, Vulcan 19, Seattle 19, right? And Vulcan is also the name of a volcano in Papua New Guinea, and it last erupted in history in 94, which is interesting because 94 was a big year for Seattle. Bill and Melinda got married January 1st, 94, and then 94 days later, Kurt Cobain died. And Ken Griffey ran the home run derby, and 94 is just this big, long number history with Seattle. Coronavirus pandemic equals 94, and the first case in the world outside of China was in Seattle, where Bill Gates is, Mr. Jab, Mr. Right across the street from the Space Needle. But 94 corresponds with the gematria of Seattle, Washington. Seattle alone is 19, and so I just thought that was interesting that the volcano Vulcan erupted in 94, which again was a huge year for Seattle because of Cobain's death and Bill Gates becoming a celebrity that year. And Bill Gates was the partner of Paul Allen, who founded Vulcan. But also I started thinking about more. The active volcano that's south of Rainier is closer to Portland, Oregon. Portland and Seattle are the two big cities in the Pacific Northwest, but not really that big of cities if you're from a place like New York. Portland's a lot smaller than Seattle, too. But Mount St. Helens is the mountain outside of Portland that erupted in 1980, and the city just covered in ash. It was a big deal. So much ash came down on people's houses, people's gutters fell off. But I was just thinking about how Vulcan is related with fire and lava and volcanoes, and then you kind of just think of like the Christian stereotypical understanding of hell, the place of fire. I just think about the name Helens and how hell has this 19. And I do recall that Portland and Seattle were in a playoff game when in the NBA when Mount St. Helens erupted. So the other thing that's wild about this for me is I went to college at Arizona State University, and a science professor I had there, his name was John Holloway, and he seemed to be one of the more prominent, interesting professors that I had because he'd gotten to do all these interesting things in history. One of the first deep diving submarines. He got to be a member of that. A lot of articles written about him, but John Holloway. So I'm down in Arizona, even though I grew up in the Pacific Northwest and ended up living most of my adult life in Seattle. I went to school in Arizona, and I had this professor there, and he told us, he said, and multiple times he mentioned, he's like, again, you guys, you can live anywhere in this country. There's a lot of great spots, but the one place you might not want to live is Seattle. And he'd make the point about Seattle because he said it has an active volcano, and it really is on the timeline where it could just erupt any day, but it might also not be a million years. But for some reason, he had this hunch that we might see it happen in our lifetime. And I was like, well, I went and lived there after college. I wasn't tripping out too much. But I just look at things like this now. I'm just like, who knows what where would the psychopaths take us to next? That this great horror and tragedy of the world, 9/11, September 11th, 2001. Remember how connected Seattle is to it. The building was designed by a man from Seattle, one of the construction firms that worked on the project to build the World Trade Centers in New York, Magnus and Klemenkic Associates, headquartered in Seattle. All the planes were Boeings, out of Boeing in Seattle. And again, Seattle's so connected to COVID, and just now they got the Kraken sports team. Sometimes the way they sync up these sports teams, the Kraken's the monster from the ocean. See, that's the thing. Seattle's got the volcano threatening it. The BBC in 2010 or it wasn't the BBC, it was PBS. PBS did the documentary in 2010 about how Seattle could be the first city where you ever see skyscrapers fall from an earthquake. And again, there's supposed to be a magnificent quake at some time in the Seattle region that's on about, a few 100-year pattern. So anyway, I do find it interesting that the day after Seattle's birthday, they got to tell you about 19 volcanoes going off because, again, Seattle is ranked as one of the 30 most dangerous cities to live in the world because of the threat of Mount Rainier, where the first official UFO sighting was. That's why the Space Needle's in Seattle. But Seattle's up on the 47th parallel, for the record. Big number up in the city. Rainier's got the connection. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are interesting here. The people who settled Seattle, the Denny Party, that has Gematria 47, go figure. Long history of Seattle. The Space Needles rotating restaurant did a full rotation every 47 minutes until they remodeled it in 2018. Space Needles on the 74-acre Seattle Center Court. Notice how volcano in Seattle also overlaps in Gematria. Most simple cipher in this alphabetic order in reverse, 82107. Pete Carroll became the winningest coach in Seattle history with his 82nd win, and then Paul Allen, who founded Vulcan, died the next day. And Pete Carroll got that record win in the UK. It was against the Raiders in 206. It was 206 weeks after their last game against the Raiders. Of course, Seattle's the 206 area code, like how Kurt Cobain died 206 days before Bill Gates' birthday. Mount Rainier, the abbreviated way, is also 107, like Seattle and Volcano. Of course, military's 107. We all know what they did to Afghanistan this year on October 7th, the anniversary of our invasion after 9/11, which again happened in the time of the 107th Mayor Rudy Giuliani on his 107th day of his age. But this year, on the anniversary of going into Afghanistan on 10/7, did I not put it up here? Earthquake. Earthquake's got the Gematria 107 like military. And 3 6.3 earthquakes in Afghanistan starting on 10/7. 6.3s. Look at how terrorism, again, we talked about how it's 54. Osama dead at age 54 on the 54th day of his age, and reverse at 63. 6.3 earthquakes starting on 10/7. Remember the 1989 World Series earthquake, the last thing shown on TV, Jose Canseco. It was 107 days after his birthday. His full name's 107. Like earthquake, like military. It happened at 5:04 p.m. sharp. Baseball 54, 5-hour, 4-minute. 54 outs in a game, 162 games in a season, 18 half innings in a baseball match. But yeah, also notice how volcano and Vulcan overlap as well with the 35s associated with Satan. Just think Satan, fire, hellfire, Vulcan. Satan, the devil, also has the parallels with Enlil, another Babylonian god of weather and destruction and storms. But yeah, where earthquake is 107, it's also 44. And we talked about Seattle in 19. Seattle's also got the 44-107 connection. Which is a fitting discussion for today, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. They loved Obama in Seattle. Woo, they couldn't get enough. Obama maniacs up there. I nearly got crucified for telling people to wake up and to see through what a puppet he was. Again, I mean, it's just like, that's the thing. Gematria. In a way, people shouldn't even need to have this knowledge to see through how bad and rigged the game was. All you ever had to do was look at a guy like Obama who said we could never vote for immunity for the telecom companies. He campaigned on it for several months. He was right the whole time, and then it came time to vote, and he voted for immunity, going against every word he spoke. And I said, that's all you got to know about that guy. That guy is not going to do anything positive for this country. So, and then all he did was, and remember in 2008 when he took office, the Democrats took the Oval Office, the Senate, and the Congress. They had every branch, and they ran on ending the wars, and they escalated the wars and made way more people involved and put the spending way up. They did the exact opposite. And again, it's because these political parties, they speak different. They say different things to outrage different groups, but at the end of the day, they're just doing the same damn things. With Paul Allen, he died on the day leaving 77 days left in the year. And Mount Rainier, when you spell it out, is also 77, which is interesting. Again, he formed the Vulcan Company, god of volcanoes. Big name in Seattle, the city that sits on the mud flows of the last time it erupted. I'm going to have to look up and see if John Holloway is still alive and see if he's still telling his students to stay away from Seattle. He was telling me these things like back in 2004. That's when I was in his class. So he brought it up multiple times that he would not live in Seattle. Just in terms of familiar patterns, sports world, Joe Burrow. Look at it. Look at this, you guys. You see how Burrow equals 97 and 34, just like injury? 97 and 34, right? Joe Burrow. Last night he got hurt after getting his 97th regular season touchdown of his career, okay? And by losing last night, he stayed on 34 career wins, meaning he did not get his 35th win on Thursday. But number 35 did score the first touchdown of the game with big odds. So the knowledge is still helpful, but it was the first time a true 35 burned us. But the Joe Burrow injury made it so he stays on 97 regular season passing touchdowns, 34 wins. The Ravens beat the Bengals 34-20 in the game. And that's 54 total points as Lamar Jackson gets his 54th career win. And we've been talking about for a long time the pattern of 54 with Joe Burrow going back to LSU. You see how Jesuit order equals 54? Again, the day that Joe Burrow went from Ohio State to LSU to be their quarterback, he did it the same day Billy Cannon died. And Billy Cannon played for LSU and won the Heisman for LSU, the only player to do it for that school until Joe Burrow came there. And then Billy Cannon beat Clemson in the championship in New Orleans. which also equals 54, just like Joe Burrow eventually did on January 13th, 2020, a date with 54 numerology. So anyway, this number's been huge with Joe Burrow from the time of college. I forgot to say, Jesuit order equals 54. The day that Billy Cannon died, the day that Joe Burrow transferred, is the same day in history that the founder of the Jesuit order, Ignatius of Loyola, was shot with a cannonball. Billy Cannon. Now, Trump, who's Jesuit educated, this year on May 20th, that same anniversary date, the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannon, Judge Eileen Cannon has Trump in court on May 20th. Another joke. But, yeah, and we were talking about 54 earlier in the stream with what's going on with Puff Daddy and R. Kelly and Tiger Woods and Paul Pelosi and a million other things. Cable 54, The Enemy of the World and They Live, if you've never seen that movie. So Joe Burrow, this number's just been huge with him. Last week he fell to 5-4 for the third straight year in a row, and the year that he took the Bengals to the Super Bowl, it was the Bengals' 54th season. So last night, 54 points in the game as Joe Burrow loses in this. It didn't look like it was that bad, and now he's out for the whole season. It's just. And here's the other thing about 54. Joe Montana equals 54, Catholic educated. Joe Montana beat the Bengals 2 times in Super Bowls with the 49ers. Joe Montana Bowl was Super Bowl 54, where his Chiefs beat his 49ers, and then Joe Burrow was drafted in the NFL. But yeah, you can look up his stats. It's all facts. Burrow 97-34, just like injury. Burrow's on 97 regular season touchdowns, 34 wins, regular season and postseason. And here, the website Football Reference is a good place to verify these things. You would just go there and search the name Burrow and click on Joe Burrow, and then scroll down here, and you can see right there that he's on. You see the TD column? The TD column, 13 in 2020, 34 in 2021, 35 in 2022, 15 in this year, for a total of 97. And in the regular season, he has 29 wins, 22 losses, and 1 tie. In the playoffs, he has 5 wins and 2 losses. So 29 regular season wins plus 5 postseason wins is 34 total wins. And we were talking about this same thing when Bosa got hurt the other year, the 97 ritual with that. With Burrow. Has Burrow had a, gotta go back and look. He might have already had a ritual like this, but when LeBron missed all that time with LA his first season there, it was a huge 34 ritual. And there's been other examples. It's just, again, how many times, for how many years did we got to teach the same lessons? And again, just if you didn't even know Gematria, the old me would have looked at today's news and been like, 44,000 hours of video. It seems very specific. And then I might have thought a little bit more and be like, you know what? Today leaves 44 days left in the year. And then, again, you realize there were a lot of... we went over the video not that long ago. By the way, that video got taken down. We used the Woo's News coverage of the footage from January 6th. And you can see that there's all kinds of choreographed incidents, and you can see the police cooperating with the protesters and getting in the right spots for the cameras. Again, from the word military 44 to officer, to soldier, to infantry, to trooper. Again, all of these numbers relating to military. Police, closely related to military, almost like standing armies. So many police are former military. If you are former military, you have a big footstep ahead again of the guy who's not for getting an open job on the force. And keep in mind, Donald Trump number 45, but the 44th person to be president. And again, too bad it would be awesome. Woo's News, he doesn't have the lifetime to go through 44,000 hours of video, but just in the hundreds and some hours of video he had, what he put together to show how choreographed it was. If they're going to release this, I would think that there's all kinds for the person who wants to put the time in to do some research and watch some of the video. I would think there's got to be a lot there to further build onto the point that Woo's News was making. Let me see, was there anything else on my Twitter that I should have covered? Look at this yesterday. Joe Burrow came into yesterday's game with 96 passing touchdowns, and on the way into the game, look at how they have it, you guys. Look at how they have it. They're facing the Ravens. The Ravens became the Ravens in 96. Look at it. You got number 96 and then number 9 Joe Burrow, who goes out of the game and gets backed up by number 6. But they filmed it that way coming in down the Ravens tunnel. And I mean, look at it, you guys. Baltimore Ravens 96. They became the Ravens in 96. Here, we'll go to the Scarface thing in a moment because Tupac died in 96 and he's connected to Baltimore, and that was the year the new NFL team was. Remember the ritual they just did with the 174th death anniversary of Edgar Allan Poe, and then Mike Tomlin got his 174th win the next day, and then the fall of the House of Usher, which has to do with Edgar Allan Poe, was put out, and at the same time, Usher is being named as the Super Bowl halftime performer. But Baltimore Ravens 96, Cincinnati 96, right? Joe Burrow coming into the game versus the Ravens with 96 touchdowns. Again, they added on one. He added on one yesterday. But when you're awake to this knowledge and you pay attention, you just see. I mean, it's how often. Look how perfectly choreographed it is. Oh man, what's the formation? All 96. Shout out to the script. How about this story right here? Good stories in the world help some people we don't even know make some money. Taught him the gematria like this. Computer Guy 1724 says, Zach, picture this. My son and his buddy fly up from Pensacola. We're at breakfast at Perkins in Gettysburg, PA. They start betting and I'm just sitting back listening. I interject and ask them if they know about 35 Thursday. They were like, no. I take them to your videos. Long story short, they both won 500 picking number 35 to score the first touchdown last night, which he did. And here's how perfect it was last night. Number 35 on the Ravens, Gus Edwards. Look how his name equals 149, right? JFK, number 35. The first Catholic president was born on the 149th day of the year, which is the 35th prime number. But Gus Edwards equals 149. Yesterday was 149 days to his upcoming birthday. Wears the number 35 and scores the first touchdown 35 Thursday with 6-1 and better odds. So nice little payday. And but the 35 that finally burned us this season was Burrow not getting his 35th win last night. Lamar Jackson did get his 35th regular season win versus the AFC, so they kind of on both sides. Usually that top stat, like 35th career wins, the better number. But they had a Joe Burrow injury lined up. And again, 54 points in the game as Lamar Jackson gets his 54th win. And the Ravens, winning with 34, had 34 date numerology. Aguilar scored his 34th career touchdown. And the Ravens, who've won 2 Super Bowls, won them both with 34 points. And I'm sure that has something to do with Maryland, where they're located, which is 34, and in reverse it's 47, like they won Super Bowl 47, the Harbaugh Bowl, where John beat Jim and John equals 47, and Jim does not. So, you might have saw this too. Trump yesterday, his remarks on the day leaving 45 days left in the year, CNN, their hair was on fire over it. He's going to be such an authoritarian. Again, this nation is authoritarian. It's get down with the latest evil agenda or be made to be a bad person and lose more of your rights and liberties. Pretty soon it'll have your social credit score destroyed. And then, Dana Carvey's son, we talked about that, how that fits in sadly with 35 Thursday, where OD's 35. Video yesterday on Sean Combs. For some reason, my suspension is over on GematriaEffectNews 22. I just tried to upload another video today, and it says too many strikes. I've never seen this before. I've never seen it before where after your suspension's over, you upload the video and it says too many strikes. So I don't know if I cannot upload videos to GematriaEffectNews 22 anymore. But, yeah, it's weird. It says the suspension's over, but then when I upload, I get too many strikes. So maybe the channel's dead. Maybe that's the new thing. They don't even delete it all the way. They just make it so you can't upload anymore. And then that's going to remains to be seen what happens when GematriaEffectNews 25 comes back. It's going to be the same thing, too many strikes. If so, I'll have to create a GematriaEffectNews 26. But yeah, here, let me do one more. And then Got to get back to work over here. Again, we recently played that song, Scarface. He's never seen a man cry until he's seen a man die, from the year 94. And then, right after Tupac's death, the song with Scarface came out, Smile, where Tupac says you're going to see some things that are going to make it hard to smile. In the music video, Tupac's shown on the cross, like he is on his Machiavelli cover. Well, I went back and looked at the album that song's on, and I said, look at that. Look at Scarface there, you know? On the Masonic checkerboard floor, and then the name, The Untouchable. You see how the Untouchable is 56? See how it's also 155 and 70? Because remember, he was one of the first celebrities that had coronavirus. After Tom Hanks and the days after, there were celebrities. He was one of them. His story that he had it real bad. He wasn't doing well. But the Untouchable, right? 155, 56, 70. And what we were pointing out at the time is, back when that happened, I didn't point out the connection with his album. I didn't look that deep. But Scarface, we were pointing out, was 56. Because back then, everything was 56. Like, every COVID ritual was 56. Coronavirus, COVID vaccine, Anthony Fauci, Andrew Cuomo, the 56th governor of New York, Gavin Newsom, Mr. I'm going to lock you down because in 8 weeks, 56% of you are going to have coronavirus. In 8 weeks, 56 days. And on and on and on, but just everything was 56. Trump's Jesuit education began in 64, 56 years before 2020. So besides Society of Jesus, remember that's the Jesuits, and the Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. The plural Freemasons is 56. And it's also 155, like the Untouchable. And the word untouchable alone is also 58, right? Like Freemasonry is 58, like secret societies 58, like fraternals 58. Pope is 56 and Pope Francis is 58. So again, just the gematria decoding. It's like the Masonic symbolism's already there, right? But then you take this to it and you go, oh, it's starting to make a lot more sense. And then the Untouchable, for the record, is also 223, just like Masonic is in Jewish gematria. 56 is 70 in basic counting. 70 goes back to the temple. Masonry secrets are in Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple is another 58. But anyway, this album released February 13th, 97, the 1-year anniversary of Tupac putting out All Eyes on Me. And then again, Tupac's featured on this album in the music video. He's on the cross. Just like the last music video Tupac put out of his own was I Ain't Mad at Ya, where he's in heaven. But if you haven't seen this music video for Smile, you can check it out. There's some audio that's played backwards in the beginning too, and I wonder what's being said in that backwards audio. It's like some Aleister Crowley tribute thing. By the way, that new movie on Netflix that's #1, The Killer, he when he talks about why he kills and how he knows the ultimate truth that there is no afterlife, and that's why he's not worried about what he does on this earth. And then he also says he's fulfilling, whoever said, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. But he's like, I can't remember who said that. That's Aleister Crowley, the occultist, who's had a huge influence in the world of rock and roll from the UK, which has spread through so many other things. But anyway, Tupac on the cross in the music video. And the album, this album, which this music video and song was attached to, the album came out 153 days after Tupac's death. And remember, Jesuit order equals 153, like Holy Bible, like the Illuminati, which was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. And again, the Machiavelli album came out on the day that's important to the Jesuits, Guy Fawkes Day, November 5th. And again, Machiavelli, like how Machiavelli faked his death, but Machiavelli also wrote The Prince based on Caesar Borgia, and Tupac died on Caesar Borgia's birthday, September 13th. But yeah, if you're new here, with regards to Tupac on the cross, look at how Tupac, when you run it in reverse, is 74. Look how when you run it forwards, Jesus is 74, like Cross, like Machiavelli, his rap alias, like Gospel, the story of Jesus, like parables, how Jesus spoke in riddles, and so on. Messiah, killing is also 74. Again, Romans 74, they crucified people on crosses. Roman and cross actually have multiple overlap. 61 and 74 like church and Jesus, and 61 represents God and sacred geometry. And anyhow, all those 74s, right? So Tupac just has the right name to be this person on the cross. And the other death connected to Tupac is Biggie Smalls, and his full name, Christopher George Latour Wallace, is also 153. And after his death, they had the album, Biggie's first death is called Ready to Die, and then the second album is him leaning against a hearse that says Life After Death. So what's up with that too? But again, these numbers, all important. And don't forget, Biggie died on March 9th. Biggie's 39, like New York. Everything's 39 in New York, as we talked about. And then he died in 97, and Notorious is 97. And from his death to his upcoming birthday was also a span of 74 days. Killing is 74, so was Rapper. It's on a lot of hip-hop deaths. So anyhow, you got Scarface, who's also considered one of the greatest rappers of all time, who's still alive and well. And I go back and I think about the album titles all coming out, who's featuring who. His album title is not like Ready to Die or Life After Death. It's The Untouchable on the Masonic Floor. You know what I mean? There might be a reason that some people live longer in this game than others. It might be because they had more. It might be because they had more knowledge and made the right chess moves. You know what I mean? Otherwise, the history might be that Scarface was killed back in 96 and Tupac lived on, and now he's got COVID in 2020. You just never know. But you can see the secret society, and the reason we'll never exactly know is because we're not in these secret societies. You know, we didn't help perform or execute these rituals in secrecy. Notice how the Tupac Machiavelli album also came out 4 days before Scarface's birthday, November 9th. And then it was his fourth album, Scarface, that has Tupac on it. And, I was watching this music video because I hadn't watched it in forever. And I noticed how they make a point about the Raven there with Tupac in the background on the cross. TV was a lot more blurry back in 96, but when they zoom in, it's Tupac, but from there it looks like it could just be the Scarecrow. But you got the Raven in the music video. And again, the Raven's associated with Baltimore, and Tupac grew up in Baltimore. And remember, this year the Super Bowl's in Vegas, where Tupac was reportedly killed. And Tupac Amaru Shakur's full name is 58 and 104, like Super Bowl 58 will conclude the 104th NFL season. And again, Baltimore's 58. And Untouchables 58. But they're doing major rituals with Edgar Allan Poe this year. And this fall of the House of Usher. And again, the Baltimore Ravens, 96, the year Tupac died. And let's go back and look at the 1990. Here, what day were the Ravens officially established? What day were Ravens officially established? Hold up. I know 96, but what's the date? Ravens official establishment date. September, hold on. The Ravens defeated the Oakland Raiders in their first game on September 1st, 96. I don't think I'd realize that. That's who's hosting the Super Bowl. Yeah, interesting. But okay, I can't find what day they were officially established. Or here, it says February 9th. Football equals 29. So that was, okay. So Tupac died after the establishment, but before the first, or wait, actually Tupac died days after the first game. He died 6 days after their first game, because their first game, or no, Tupac was shot September 7th, so 6 days after the first game, and then died September 13th. And notice, September 13th, the day he died, Tupac Shakur 139, 13/9, the day he died. But hold up. February 9th, 1996, he was shot on Eazy-E's birthday anniversary, and Eazy-E died 201 days after his birthday. Like the 201 Men in the Tuskegee Group, like Event 201, the pandemic simulation where they said black people would need the vaccine the most. And then the day they said Scarface had COVID-19 was March 26th, which is the anniversary of the Eazy-E death, and it can be written 26/3, like 263, the 56th prime. From the Ravens official establishment to Tupac's shooting was 211 days. 211's the 47th prime, Maryland's 47. 211's interesting because it's the date of the Super Bowl this year, February 11th. And then that means that Tupac died 217 days later, 31 weeks, which is the 11th prime, 7 months and 4 days, a bit like 74, going with all that we just talked about with Tupac and 74 and the cross and all that. And then if you counted the full span of days, you could also say on the 218th day of the team's existence, since it was established, and that's death. It's also Holy Roman Empire. It's the 10-4 alert time. And here we are in the 104th NFL season. We've been talking about where the film Black Sunday, the attack on the Super Bowl by Palestinian terrorists, could fit in with this season in light of Jerusalem being 104 and 58. Super Bowl 58 to conclude the 104th NFL season. Again, Baltimore 58, Baltimore 95, 95th birthday of the Vatican. But yeah, the one other thing about Tupac and Edgar Allan Poe in Baltimore, there's a 187. Tupac died 187 years after Edgar Allan Poe was born. Holy Roman Empire is 187 and 218. It's also 74. And again, Society of Jesus is 187. And Brotherhood of Death. That's Skull and Bones alias 187. Which is also 97, which is also 83. All those numbers are connected to death and murder. Tupac died 34 weeks after Edgar Allan Poe's birthday anniversary. 187 years and 34 weeks. Murder, rapper, Maryland, all 34. Both Ravens Super Bowls, one with 34 points. Yeah, again, yesterday with the 34 date numerology, Aguilar, player on the team, gets the 34th career touchdown. Burrow stays on 34 wins with a supposed injury. And, you know, the whole 34 thing also factors in with where Tupac died, but also where the Super Bowl is. Nevada's 34. Get rapper 34. Murder 34. Sometimes they'll have like a suspicious suicide in the news and they'll be 34 all over. We were just talking about that. Robert Luna, he's the 34th person to be in the position he's in, and he just had 4 suicides within 24 hours in his office. He's the 34th LA County Sheriff. So, yeah, you can read these posts because there's even more information here, but again, just looking at the web of entertainment and ritual and death and sacrifice and stories and history and how it's been connected all this whole time. All the American sports credited to Freemasons. Here, I went over the Star Wars thing a little bit quick at the beginning. I want to make sure people got this. So, today, the day leaving 44 days left in the year. Supposedly, Israel made history by shooting down a missile from space with their Star Wars defense system, just like how Ronald Reagan wanted the Star Wars defense system. That was something that Ronald Reagan, who came from Hollywood, you know what's awesome? Somebody just showed a paper from 1980 the other day, and it shows Ronald Reagan won the election, and 33 more Republicans are taking office, and Reagan was the 33rd governor of California, and Hollywood equals 33. They've been doing the same thing since 1980. But, again, space equals 44, Israel equals 44, Zion equals 44, military equals 44, Cancer equals 44. Again, the moon landing in Cancer in 69 when the astrological symbol for Cancer looks like 69. And then Armstrong is 44. And, you know, Neil Alden Armstrong's 201 and the moon landing on July 20th, 69, the 201st day of the year, and then Event 201, and then they said developing the vaccine after Event 201 was called the moonshot, and now, you got space lasers taking out missiles in the state of Israel. George Lucas's first film, THX 1138. Shout out to Frank the Truth Tank. He just went back and watched George Lucas's first film. If you've never seen it, THX 1138. Very relevant to the times we're living in, but there's a nice scene in there where the doctor's in his lab and you can see the big number for the lab number, 201, Again, if you're new here, that's the Jesuit calling card. It's why Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201. It's why a Jesuit founded the Illuminati. It's why that same Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, his death anniversary is tomorrow, November 18th, 201 days from the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. Just like David Ben-Gurion, who declared Israel a nation, died 201 days from the anniversary of Israel's establishment. And by the way, Order of Illuminati is also 258, like number of the beast. And we were talking about the thing in Florida with they said you can't go against the drag queens 258 days after the bill was introduced. But yeah, this Star Wars thing really tripped me out because I just right away I was just like laughing at the 44. But then I went back and looked and I was like, when was George Lucas born? I was like, oh my God, born in 44, 4 years before Israel was. And again, Theodore Herzl, who founded Zionism, died at age 44 in 1904, 44 years before Israel was made. And Netanyahu, the other year when he was threatening Obama, he had 44 seconds of silence. This is all over the news. I remember like it was yesterday. Netanyahu's 44 seconds of silence, Washington Post, everything. Everything will have covered this story. The Hill, Yahoo, BBC, the Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle, the Times of Israel, Jerusalem Post, CNN, everybody. So, and in Hebrew, Netanyahu equals 44, just like in English. And we were talking about Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar and the parallel with Netanyahu. How the media right now wants everyone to worship Israel. Must worship Israel, not Gaza. Gaza lives they don't matter as much as like literally it's like that's the campaign that instead of wearing suits, they should all be on there with t-shirts right now that be like Israel lives matter more than Gaza lives. That's the message they're communicating all day. All day. I guess we need an All Lives Matter campaign. All lives matter. Yes, can we actually recognize that? Can we embrace all lives matter? It's not divisive. It's like, wait a minute, that person is a life, so they must matter because all lives matter. But yeah, also, the one other thing I noticed about the Star Wars, the first Star Wars film, do you realize how this film came out on the 145th day of the year, and May 14th can be written 14/5? Again, Catholics 145, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. From 1977 to now is 46 years. I guess the one thing I didn't do in this decode was measure from May 25th, the anniversary of Star Wars. So it turned 46 years old, and then today this history made 176 days later. There might be something to the number 176, but the number that really stands out is it's the 177th day of the film's age. And again, Benjamin Netanyahu, for example, has the 177. And also the 282, like the attack on October 7th was 282 days after he returned to office. But the Jesuit order, that's the other big number with them. They like 201 and 177. Again, Klaus Schwab, the Jesuit, the main host of Event 201, 177. And Captain Tom, knighted on 17/7 and dead 201 days later. Knighted by the Queen, who died 201 days after her COVID diagnosis. Okay, so that is interesting. The Jesuits are a military order that's very invested in technology. Essentially, you start to think about it, it's like, well, I guess that's starting to make sense, right? It's like a technological military accomplishment. If the story's true, they shot down a rocket from space. Did that really happen, or is that just the story today? It could be as real as Star Wars, right? Star Wars, it looks pretty real. Looks pretty real, but it isn't. It's a pretty convincing presentation. Think about actually the theme of Star Wars. Actually, think about the theme of Star Wars if I'm not mistaken, Star Wars is about like this little rebel group trying to fight the evil empire, and the evil empire is going to all lengths to destroy all these last rebels, and there's not that many remaining. Isn't that the story with Star Wars? And then meanwhile, when they're not covering this today, they're like, you will worship Israel, Gaza bad. You know? It's like, okay, this is the evil empire. I am the rebel, and I am just getting squashed everywhere. I feel more and more like a fly each day the way I'm getting swatted. Yeah, it's just annoying to be done this way, to be mocked each day. Oh, and by the way, that's a big one too. Star Wars 119, right? Oh, and that's another big one. Star Wars 29. Notice Israel was established May 14th, 48, right? So Star Wars came out 29 years later, and Israel's flag is the star, and they're always at war. So Star Wars. Are we having another Star Wars right now? Not sure what episode number this is. There's been a lot of them. Star Wars. But Star Wars 119, Star of David 119. We just had the 119th World Series with the coincidence with the Serpent team, the Diamondbacks, and then it all being synced up with Bush, and the 119th World Series hanging on his 119th day of his age when he was in office for 9/11, and they're saying this is Israel's 9/11. But yeah, isn't it something else? Isn't it something else? I guess from a society of Star Wars watchers, they all learned to join the dark side. They didn't realize it, but they're not the rebels. They're just down with the dark side. Most Star Wars watchers hate the rebels. I say that because it seems like most Star Wars are pretty mainstream people. You know, they just like love America. All of its lies. Sorry for the person who that's not true about again. Shouldn't paint broad strokes, but yeah, I find America like this robotic nation. Everybody's into Star Wars, everybody's into all the BS. But yeah, what a joke. Thinking about George Lucas's age. 79 right now. Okay. Here, one more word. Anti-Semitism. You see how it's 83 in Gematria, which is the 23rd prime? Again, this word is all the focus right now. All the focus in the media. And in light of the media doing things by a code... Oh yeah, that's right. They got rid of my post on here. It doesn't exist anymore, does it? Yeah, the right post. They got rid of the correct post. Do I have part of it right here? Let me see if I have enough of the article here. The original post. Yeah, they took down the original post, which is just such a joke. But here's the original post. October 6, 1940. Well, it's not my original post, but I have the screenshot from the New York Times. New York Times, October 6, 1940. 75 date numerology, New World Order pledge to Jews. That article turned 83 years old, October 6, 2023, and then the war began the next day. And since then, anti-Semitism is just a word we're hearing nonstop, over and over. And again, Israel's 75 years old right now, and now the king just turned 75, King Charles. The Superior General just turned 75. Last Sunday, the Superior General turned 75. Home teams went 7-5 in the NFL. The Browns in their 75th season upset the Ravens. Russell Wilson's 75th pick of the draft, won on Monday Night Football. Just everything was 75 the week of the Superior General's 75th birthday. And remember who the original Superior General is. Ignatius of Loyola, 75, right? Like Catholic Church is 75. Again, like Roman Catholic is 75. Again, New World Order is 75. Order out of chaos. The motto is 75. The word order alone is 75. Think about it, you guys. Right now, I mean, what does it mean to establish order? To establish order. How is it established? We see in this world it's established through force. War, violence, threats, fines, fees, compliance or else. You will no longer have this privilege. You will not be able to work here. You will not be able to go to school here. You will not be able to go to shop here, whatever. So again, it matters, and we've been pointing this out for a long time, and that's the real reason Google. I used to have a long post on this that went into great detail on this article and what happened to the man who made this. The man who said that died in his 75th year of life, meaning he died at age 74, and yeah, we've been talking about this for so long, and then to just watch all this go down at this moment. And then just to watch the way that they just censor you when you're covering this day in and day out, to take down. I'm suspended right now on my main channel because they suspended a video I made exactly 33 weeks earlier about the Nashville private school shooting at Building 33, where 33 employees worked and everything else. And it was taken down for hate speech. And I appealed it, and they said that they upheld it because they found that it was a hate speech. And it's like, this is impossible. To show 33s in a mass shooting is hate speech, this is impossible. But then I watch Fox News today, and I see the woman on the 5 say that 2 things should not be allowed in American speech. Questioning the Holocaust denial. She used the word denial. She said, Holocaust denial should not be tolerated, and mass shooting denial should not be tolerated. And I was just like, what? Mass shooting denial? I've never heard anyone say that before. That's crazy. But that's how it's been. I mean, tons of us. That's why most in the truth community just went away and don't even touch. For people who still exist here, they don't even touch on mass shootings anymore because they just tired of getting their hands slapped. But I'll never stop talking about it. I don't care how much money it costs, demonetization. It's just like, if you're not saying what needs to be said and teaching about what needs to be teaching, then essentially all you're trying to do is curtail your behavior because you've made your revenue the ultimate truth. And that's not the ultimate truth. That's the ultimate tool that's being used to control us and to attempt to control speech in society. And I mean, it's working. Most people are down with the plan. But again, you just think about that too with the media, because this is a New York Times article, which has always been run by Jesuits. And oops, I spelled it. I have an extra letter in there. Again, anti-Semitism 83. 83rd anniversary. 83, the 23rd prime. We're in 2023. Judaism is 23. The number 23. Interesting movie that starts on the 23rd of February. So, yeah, I think I got all the main points in here. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And I don't know if there's a way that I can see how many likes we have on this platform. But yeah, if you guys do hit the like, Google might take it away anyway. But yeah, that's kind of the way the algorithm's supposed to work, that if a video has more likes, more comments, more shares, it's more likely to show up in a stranger's feed. So Joe Mo, you think you have the old post backed up? The old post that's not there anymore? Please show me, because they've taken down a lot of important posts. Scarface, the rapper, came out in 83, really? Or you're saying the movie? Yeah, we know the movie Scarface came out in 83. We definitely know that. Remember, the actor this year from Scarface died at age 83 on August 3rd. So, Mark Margolis, dead at 83 on August 3rd. He was in Scarface, which came out in 83. He died 38 weeks before Pacino's upcoming birthday, when, of course, murder. They still haven't taken down this post, thankfully. That's the wrong one. Hold on. It's about how Dimebag Darrell got it by the numbers. But again, murder by numbers, right in the words. 3883. Murder 38 and 83. Mark Margolis died at 83 on 8-3, which can be written 8-3 or 3-8, 38 weeks from Pacino's birthday. And in the movie together in 83, it's just so blatant. Things like this year after year. All right, hold on. We're getting a phone call over and over. Let's see.
Hello?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, Zach. I just wanted to announce publicly that I have torrent links on my community tab, my YouTube channel, to download Gematria Effect News 23, which got deleted, 24, the entire channel for 24, 25, 22, sports, and the entire New York City trip, entire California trip. I have separate links for each one because it's a lot of storage, so people can download whatever they want. If you could show it up on the screen, I'd appreciate it. Also, if people, when you guys download the torrents, if you could seed it, I'd appreciate that too, because right now my server's running at max capacity running it, and it's not really like fast enough for it to be speedy. It's a lot of storage. It's a lot of data. It's 569 gigabytes in total. So yeah, it's kind of slow for people that are downloading. It's not affecting my internet connection or anything. But yeah, it's just going to be kind of slow for a lot of people. But yeah, if people want to download that, I have those links on there. Yeah, I think if you click the read more, it'll show the links, the magnet links. I'll be putting a video on my channel of how to download those links, how to download that. It's really easy. You just put that into like something like Qubit torrent or transmission or whatever torrent program that you have. But yeah, all those videos are up there. A lot of deleted videos are up there. Those deleted channels are up there. If people want to download that. Also, the Gematria calculator is going to be up soon. I finished it, and I'm just going to try and figure out how to host it somewhere. And since Derek's calculator is getting worse, mine's looking more appealing, I guess. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I have some other stuff, but I'll call in on TFR or something next week if you do that. Some of the finds that I found. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Yeah, great job, Zach.
Okay, I appreciate you doing this. To download a torrent file, what do you need to do that?
So you download something like Qubit torrent. You can look that up. And then what you do is that you see those magnet links. It'll say a thing called when you open up the torrent program. On the top corner, it'll say open link. All you do is you paste that link into there and you click download and it'll start downloading it. Torrents are basically the best way to share files. It's a superior technology. So if, like, let's say that your internet connection goes out or your computer loses power, once you get connected to the internet again or your computer turns back on, it'll just automatically start downloading where you left off. And it will take days for people to know. Please be patient. It's a lot of data. It's 500 gigabytes. Any channel that you download is going to take days, but it's not a big deal. It'll be fine. You can just leave it in the background downloading. I'll make a video on how to do it. Hopefully you can re-upload that. It's just going to be about that. It'll be like 2 minutes.
So another question about torrents real quick. Can it be downloaded if you're on PC or Mac, or is it one platform or the other?
It's all platforms. If you're on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, you can have a torrent program to download it from. So yeah, it's multi-platform. You can actually even do it on your phone, or I think even on iOS you can do it on. So yeah, it's pretty much any platform that you have, you can download it as long as you have the storage. The smallest channel is Gematria Effect News 23, which is only 14 gigabytes. So pretty much everybody should have that space. The largest one is Gematria Effect News 25. That one's 215 gigabytes, but it's the entire channel. I also have sports on there. It's not the entire channel because I didn't download the whole thing. I didn't have time. But it's all the old videos on sports that used to be on. I remember back when you used to upload videos on sports and on Gematria Effect News 20, the one that got deleted. I put all of those videos on that, and like some of the other live streams and stuff. So like just a lot of the important videos. I will be downloading all of sports at some point and putting that up. But I just haven't had the time because it takes a lot of time to download so many videos because I think it's like 2,000. And also I'll need a new hard drive to do that. But yeah, any other questions?
No, but that was very nice. Yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm always happy to help out. And I don't know if you've tried out the calculator yet, but I remember last time you asked me why I did it. It's just because Derek's is really only good for like presenting. Because I know you have your calculator on your site, and I have that one on my phone too. But you know, it's just not really. A lot of people don't use it. I know that you don't use it either. On live streams, you use Derek's. That was basically why I made mine. A lot of people have been asking me to finish mine so they can use it. A lot of people have wanted me to make it.
And you
like,
linked your
people are asking
calculator
me-
on
What?
your community tab?
What'd you say?
You linked the calculator on your community tab?
No, it's not up yet. I emailed it to you. It's just the index HTML. You basically double click that, and then it'll open up in your browser. It runs locally on your computer, so even if you don't have internet, it'll still run, and you can use it in your browser. But it's not public yet because I had a problem with hosting it from a computer here. For some reason it just didn't work. It just would load forever. But I'll fix that eventually, and it will be public. I'll be announcing that too. That's coming very soon because it's basically finished.
Okay.
It's just not
All right.
hosted anywhere anymore.
Well, we'll announce it when it's out there. All right. But yeah, sounds good for now. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
All right.
have a great day, Zed.
All right. Yeah. Take care. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay, that was nice of him. He's got the computer skills. So yeah, anyway, I think those were the main events. Let's see if there's anything else buzzing the news before we jump off here. Got about 5 more minutes. Israel agrees to allow 2 fuel trucks a day into Gaza. Well, I don't think that's... AI boss Sam Altman ousted after board loses confidence. I think he's the one who's been warning about the downside of AI. Let's see. MSNBC's become like the opposite of Fox News. Pro-Democrat all the time. Trump ruled that he can stay on the ballot in Colorado. When did that actually happen? I find that interesting because Colorado's the 38th state. Of course, D.C. is the city on the 38th parallel. Election equals 38 in Gematria, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so okay. Election's 38 in the same cipher as Colorado. Actually, they're the exact same in all 4 ciphers. Election in Colorado, the exact same in all 4. So when did this happen? Trump can stay on the presidential ballot in Colorado, judge rules. November 17th? Was it today? Yeah, today. Colorado judge on Friday rejected a 14th Amendment challenge to Donald Trump being on the state's presidential ballot in 2024. So today's going to be 50 weeks and 4 days to the election. But from Trump's last birthday to today is 156 days after Trump's birthday. 9/11 is the 156th prime. We have to look back into when this was brought up as a motion or whatever the terminology is before the judge ruled. But yeah, the funny thing is just how it connects with election. I'm trying to think about today, leaving 44 days left in the year. He was the 44th person to be president. Says courts in Minnesota and Michigan also recently did the same thing. Minnesota's also got that 38 connection. The Colorado judge who ruled was Sarah Wallace. Sarah's got that 47 gematria like Trump, like how he's running on Agenda 47. Says it was before the court from October 30th through November 3rd. November 3rd was the election date in 2020. November 3rd leaves 58 days left in the year, like Trump won the 58th presidential election. Okay. Let's see. So that was MSNBC's front page. Whoops, wrong. Oh, that's also what's on Fox, so I guess this is the top story right now. Eagles officially released first round pick nearly 30 years since he last played in NFL. He's got a number 74 jersey on. What's this about? Bernard Williams. Did he die? They did this on Thursday. He tested positive for marijuana, so he was kicked out of the league. Huh. That's. I got to think more about that one. The ritualism of this, and it's in the news the same time as the Snoop Dogg thing is too. Huh. Okay. So everyone's got that as the top story. Doesn't matter if you're watching CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. Once again, Donald Trump is the top story. And the thing about Friday, remember this 63 thing with Trump? Friday 63, Certus 63, Berlin Wall 45 and 63. Trump called the 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. He did the Certa and 2016 when they had the ritual 63rd triangular number, which again is why Muhammad Ali died on June 3rd in 2016 when the Prophet Muhammad died at age 63 and he was 74 at the time of his passing. Muhammad Ali, the year of Trump's election. But the judge said the 14th Amendment, which bars insurrectionists from holding office, doesn't apply to president. So this is also related to the insurrection then, and today they released the 44,000 hours of video on the day, leaving 44 days left in the air. Minnesota, Michigan, Colorado. I wonder. There's probably some greater historical reasoning to these states as well. Let's see, Minnesota's the 32nd state. Colorado, of course, is the 38th, and Michigan is the 26th. The focus is the 14th Amendment. Let's see. It was passed in history on June 8th, 6-8. Of course, Donald John Trump, 68. And ratified 2 years later on July 9th. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States, including formerly enslaved people, and provided all citizens with equal protection under the laws. And of course, the word slave itself has a gematria 14. We talked about this before with the 14th Amendment. I wonder if either of those dates, anniversaries, June 8th anniversary. So, you see how from June 8th, its origin to today is a span of 163 days? That's the 38th prime number. And again, Colorado's the 38th state. And just even things like, look how Colorado Rockies is 163, right? 163 is the 38th prime. Colorado 38. Election 38. Getting DC on the 38th parallel. So span of 163 days from the June 8th anniversary. And July 9th. It's 131 days from the July 9th anniversary later, which is an interesting number. It's the 32nd prime. America's 32. But you could also say it's the 132nd day from that anniversary, the total span. And that's a presidential number. 132 rooms in the White House. Don't forget, United States of America equals 132. The nation that was named on September 9th, a span of 132 days from the founding of the Illuminati. And, of course, Roman Catholics, 132, and Catholic Church is 132, and Antonin Scalia, who was found dead on 13/2, the first Roman Catholic Supreme Court Justice, 132. And then also, you see how Antonin Scalia is 132 and 219, again, so is Roman Catholic, and he was the first Roman Catholic Supreme Court Justice, and his body laid in repose at the Supreme Court on February 19th, 219. But yeah. Double check the amount of days from today to the election. The election's November 5th, 2024. Yeah, I don't know if there's something to 354, but that's the story they want everybody to know about right now. So all right, thankfully nobody else is dead in the headlines at the moment. Or I spoke too soon. 1 killed in New Hampshire hospital shooting. Suspect killed by troopers, authorities say. Is this today? Because I was about to say, I mean, it's almost a surprise they didn't take a chance to have a shooting today on the day leaving 44 days left in the air. But then again, the day's not over, is it? They have been liking these shootings late at night at the bar scene, scare everybody into just staying home with Netflix. A person who was shot in the lobby of a New Hampshire psychiatric hospital on Friday has died. So, okay, it was today, the day leaving 44 days left in the air. Shooting, gunfire, mass shooter. The shooting in Maine, again on the 44th parallel. The shooter on 4/4 was his birthday, they said. All right. Yeah, anyway, we'll leave it there. You guys can expand on the research. And again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. And until next time. Oh, by the way, thank you to you, Jules, and all the people like you. Appreciate all the people who support the work. Thank you very much. All right, have a good night, all.